Marsha.
Okay. It's amazing to see you here for an interview again.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So none of the other council people have joined us yet. So just respect your time. I thought we'd get started a while. Okay.
Sure.
And since, I'm pretty familiar with the work you do, I just wonder why you want to ante up again to stay on the Environmental Advisory Board.
Well, I think we are, I guess I would say two things about that. One is, it's been very rewarding. It's been a very good way to get to know more people in more neighborhoods since I wasn't born and bred here.
Right.
And we've really been able to do quite a lot, I think, both working with council and then sort of the other end of things, working with citizens to bring concerns to council about what's going on environmentally in the community and in the future for sustainability. In particular, I'm very interested in helping to get community engagement on the climate action plan that's
Right.
going forward. So I didn't want to drop the ball at this point when everyone's done a lot of work in the last year or two to try and tee that up and start to have conversations in the community about it. I must say though, we've had 2 vacancies and we've been trying to fill them. And we've had a number of people think they were going to then not apply or apply and then withdraw. And if we did get some new young people, especially that some people from some of the Latino communities, I would be happy to step down. I'd be happy to mentor somebody and have them step up and get more diversity on our team. And I have done three terms now. So it's time to give someone else a chance, but not when we have 2 vacancies and work to do.
And I think that's a good word to use. Sometimes the mentoring needs to take a couple of years till everyone's sort of on board and can pick up the momentum. So I really respect you for wanting to do that and explaining not only to the board members of the community. I'm not sure everyone's completely in touch with understanding. I think they understand about environmental change, or I should say climate change, but I'm not sure they're making the correlation between the weather that we're seeing and how it impacts them directly in their neighborhoods.
Right, and that's what we've been trying to do. We've been working, we hired 2 young people as consultants to help us have a more vital, modern, multi-generational approach to our outreach. And so we've got an email address that people can ask us questions. We've got the website updated and it's on this, we're on the city one as well as on our page. And we have some materials we're putting together that are designed to be like question and answers about what's alternative energy and how does climate change affect me and why should I care? And what can I do about it? What's the city doing about it? And what can I do about it personally in my neighborhood? So we're that's sort of our structure, that we're developing some materials to go with the development of the climate action plan and try and have, trying to network and team up with people like at Goggleworks and at the library. We're doing a book club reading this month with a climate change book that they're collaborated with us to do. And then Goggleworks is going to show a climate action related or sustainability related movie in the I think February. So we're trying to network with others that are doing things and suggest some good ideas for helping the community to start to have conversations.
Okay, good. I want to check, there's someone, I'm not sure whether that's Johanna or Felix that's on the line there. Hello, Felix?
I think it's Felix.
It's Felix, Marcia.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, because we were just waiting for Johanna to join us. Okay, thank you.
Not a problem.
Okay, so if you would be, I gave your priorities for what you see moving ahead. As far as recruitment for more people, any suggestions at all? I know we have another interview coming up with someone that's going to be new.
Yes, yes. In fact, Stephen Thompson was a former student of mine. He was in the Masters for Leadership for Sustainable Communities program at Alberta. He graduated about 3 or 4 years
Sure,
ago.
honey. I'm sorry.
And, I encouraged him to apply. I think, he would be a new voice, and he's been involved in lots of neighborhood and nonprofit organizations in the community. So I think he'd be able to network with some groups that we haven't reached yet.
Okay. So Johanna, we're interviewing Kathy Myers, who is a reappointment for the Environmental Advisory Board and wants to stay on board at least for another term, but also mentor new people. So she's just one of our real foundations for how the EAC operates.
Awesome. Hi, Kathy. Thank you so much for your commitment and dedication and years of service.
Well, thank you, Chairman.
I'm not sure if you covered this already, but I'm always curious as to what can we do as council body to better support the work that you're doing?
Well, that's a question I haven't been asked before, I don't think. Well, no, that's not true, because certainly Marcia often asks what do you need? What are you doing? And can we help? But I think we have gotten lots of support from council when needed. I think that's one of the reasons I'm interested in staying, because I think there's been a very good relationship between council and us. And when we have a concern that's been brought to us or that comes to our attention through the media or through other advisory councils or other cities, we hear they're doing something and we've presented it to council. They've been willing to think about it, willing to listen, often willing to jump in and adopt a resolution or adopt an ordinance to address the problem. So I see a very good partnership in the past and would look forward to a continuation of that. But that's most of it, is just being willing to and to send us things. I mean, when the dam issues came about and became very controversial, we do have some expertise, both legal and policy expertise on the EAC, and so we were happy to have that referred to us for us to provide some advice on what we thought about the situation and what should be done going forward at Bernhardt Dam, and I think that was probably helpful, and we would want to participate in the community conversation hearing that's likely to happen in the near future about what people want to have happen. So it goes both ways. You send us questions or things that you think we might be able to help do some outreach, do some investigation or some research on. And we've sent things to you that we've done some research, or we've heard about something, or we found something good that some other community has done and found a way to implement that here.
Yeah, and I think it's a very opportune time for you to bring that up, because we do have a citizens group that is concerned about pollution, the Buttonwood Gateway project.
Yes.
And I wanted to look at how, instead of creating another organization, it's up to what the voters want, if whatever gets on the ballot, but we still can do something on it without waiting for that to happen through the EAC.
Right.
And being able to look at, and I don't know whether you guys have delved into that issue.
We in the past, about 3 years ago, Pastor Morrison came to us with that issue. David Bean did some research for her and shared some information. The properties that were in question were not the proper. She had some misinformation about which properties were going to be developed and where they were and whether they were in the area where there was contamination, and it turned out they were not. So we were able to help her with that at that time. She also came to a meeting this summer about the time that they were starting that campaign about toxic pollution and environmental justice. And we said we'd be happy to look into it. It turns out one of the initiatives that we had already started is related to that. There's a program in Pennsylvania for the redevelopment of previous commercial and industrial properties that are contaminated. It's a brownfield, what's often referred to as a brownfields program. And under that, a person who wants to develop land that was contaminated, maybe it was, a battery site, or maybe it was a smelter site, or maybe it had waste dumped in the back. But if someone wants to redevelop one, they can go to the Department of Environmental Protection and they can do a partial cleanup. And if they make things better and they document what's still there, then they're allowed to develop with restrictions. So for example, if they simply cover contaminated soil with blacktop, you can use that for an industrial commercial space, but you're probably not allowed to use that for a school because you've left something still in the ground. Those things are all documented and they're supposed to be filed with the county and with the municipality. And they have been, but we found when we were trying to get a handle on that, really because of Pastor Morrison's inquiries to us, we found that we do not have a complete record, nor does the county appear to have a complete record. And when it doesn't seem that DEP has a complete record. So one of our initiatives is going to be to fill in that what's called an Act 2 database to find out which properties previously contaminated have done partial cleanups, and there's data about what they're allowed to use it for. So that there would be a database the public could go to instead of having fears that it's somewhere in the Buttonwood region, so we should all be terrified to build or to use it or to have a community garden anywhere near there or whatever. So that is an initiative we're working on. We're working on already, and we would certainly be willing to work with her group or her or anybody to try and get our arms around this, because it is a real problem that the zoning people won't necessarily have the information they need to decide, to know whether they should approve a new use. So it's tricky, and we need to have a procedure, and we need to have a database.
So it sounds like you have a real challenge, and hopefully get the, board filled that, that you can make that happen. And I think it's good for the public to be aware that as council hears things, that there's also another arm of government that's doing some work on it. It's not like the issue is just sitting there.
Right. We're not ignoring it.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any questions? Wes isn't on, is he? I'm assuming no.
No.
So do you have any questions for us, Kathy?
Well, Marcia, are you and Johanna going to continue as representatives to the board?
Yeah, and I apologize for missing some meetings just because of work commitments, but.
Oh, yeah, that always happens, but it is really helpful, I think, to at least a couple of times, at least every other meeting or so, to have someone from council available. And it's amazing how many things you find out just in a simple conversation that you realize you missed out and didn't understand was going on. So I think it's.
Yeah, and I know for myself, one of the areas, but I know it's on the list of projects, is looking at the plastic bags and what we might be able to do more proactively about that.
Right.
Move that alone. It's sort of going to be, as from my own personal perspective, it's one of the things I want to champion.
Yes, and that's another one of the ongoing projects we have. We haven't gotten very far, but we did do some research on what Philly did and and what some of the other communities have done. And then actually our newest member, Sarah Crothers, who's now married and named Bach, and she's our one really young person who's only a little bit out of college. She was doing some research for us on that. Then she
Good.
had to take a few weeks to get married and go on a honeymoon, but
Mm.
she'll be sharing that with us soon.
Okay, good.
So we're looking at that. The other one, Marcia, that you and I have shared, one of the other big priorities we have is concerns about both dumping and yard dumping in our preserves and forests, affecting our preserves and forests, and the invasive species that's allowed to get loose and take over. So we're going to do some more park preserve walks, teach-ins sort of walks about invasives in like Pandora Park over and Hessian Camp in those two areas, and others as we go. We'd like to go up to your area by Neversink, because that's another place where people don't realize it, and they'll dump their yard waste and they think, oh, it's organic, it will decompose. Well, some
Gross.
will, but others will just take off and become the new barberry plants and things that shouldn't be in the forest and choke out all of the natural vegetation. And so it looks more like somebody's escaped front yard than it does like the forest should look like. So
Oh, it's funny because Neversink seems to stay more pristine because it's so hard to access
yes,
compared
it
to
is.
Mount Penn. But people do throw their yard waste. So we have nice little daffodil patches.
Yep.
Where, you can tell they came from
Cassandra, myrtle, yeah.
yeah.
No. But that means, and barberry, and that means you don't have what you should have, which is blueberry and ferns and wild asters and trout lilies and yeah, all of that. So that's another thing we'll be working on in the spring.
Yeah. Okay. And there's some other things I don't want to take up the interview time because I know we have someone else waiting for us, but there are some things I want to talk with you about offline about that same idea of people using the preserve areas for things that aren't indigenous species.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Okay, great.
thank you.
Thank you so much, Kathy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And you'll hear from us very soon.
And you're welcome to stay on if you want to for Stephen's interview, since you know him. It's up to you.
So Stephen, you'd rather have me go away or stay on?
No, I would rather have you stay on.
Okay.
A form of comfort.
Nice.
So Stephen, my name is Marcia Goodman-Hinnerschitz, and I represent the city on the EAC, but also on the nominations committee. And then we have our president of council, Johanny Freitas. So you sort of got the gist of some of the questions we're asking, but the first one is always for a new applicant is why you want to join the Environmental Advisory Council.
Well, I just, with today's day and time, with all the environmental issues that we have going on right now, I think it's really important that we educate our citizens of what's going on and what we can do to make the world a better place for our kids. And so if I can do some small part, for this council research, I interact with a lot of, community service groups. Marcia, you and I know each other from the Reading Rec Commission.
Right.
Johanny, I've met you a few times over the years. So, yeah, I mean, it's all about being involved in the community and trying to make the world a better place. I mean, that's really what it boils down to.
And I'm glad you brought up the Rec Commission. Can you see any intersection between what the EAC does and how it can work with the Rec Commission?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just cleaning up of parks, having the kids take ownership of the parks and the city itself. And, you take pride in where you're at, that's going to, it's like a domino effect, and I really think that getting kids involved in this whole program of getting more conscious about what's going on environmentally, I've seen studies done that say that, if you introduce something to an elementary school kid, they're going to take it home, and maybe their parents will learn from it. We have to get this attitude that if it's not slapping you in the face, with immediacy, that, we can't do something about it, so it's about being more proactive and, having some foresight on what's going on in the world. So yeah, I mean, I think kids are obviously going to be the key to any environmental improvement that we have. I mean, look at what's going on in the world. So.
And considering the broad scope of what the EAC could be doing, do you have any things you feel need to be priorities at this point?
Not off the top of my head, but I actually thought of this, and I talked to Dr. Myers about this earlier. I think that it'd be a great opportunity to like get the school district involved and basically have a program in place that we could say how the environment is affecting our city and our world. I think that would be a phenomenal thing to do, because again, if we can introduce ideas about conservation, about, obviously things like not dumping, electric vehicles, the whole 9 yards. I mean, that's going to resonate because, I know when my kids were in school, I was interested in what they were learning, and I'm going to make the presumption that most people are interested in what their kids are learning and want to be a part of it, So I think that would be something that I would love to be involved in.
Johanny?
That was something we would love to do. And we haven't had people with connections to the school district because that's always, they're all overworked over there. But if you know some teachers, like I think Stephen does, that's how you can get in.
Yeah, I know a few.
So following up on Marcia's question, right? How many meetings or sessions will it take you to get your foot in the door to start establishing these relationships and partnerships with the school district? What's your goal?
That's a tough question. Well, I mean, I don't think it would take very long, to be honest. I mean, because I know, I haven't talked to her in a while, but I know the middle school principal. I know I taught 6th grade math and science at Central Middle School. So I know several teachers in the elementary schools at 10th and Penn, so I'm sure I could get introduced to a few people obviously we need to have a plan in place first. I don't want to, but I don't think it would take very long at all. And I think it's something that a lot of these people would be open to, especially if you volunteer your time, I think that's the key to most of it, is that people have to volunteer their time outside of work in order to get, the most out of it.
And then one last question as it relates to working with children and youth of Reading School District. And obviously we have to take baby steps, right? Because we have to start small. What do you think in year 1 of you serving would be a tangible project, something that could be accomplished or begin to be worked on in year 1 after having had access into one of the schools? And maybe that's something you have to think about, right? Because do you want to start with elementary, middle, or high school? Where do you think you could start?
I mean, and again, this is kind of putting me on the spot, but I think the elementary schools would be the best place to start, because I think you have a more open and willing mindset in the younger kids that, they would be most interested in it too. I mean, you could tie this into science, science class where you take them on field trips. This is what happens when you dump, like Kathy brought up the example of people dumping in the forest. Like, look at this. This is not what's supposed to happen here. So, I mean, I think it would take a lot more than just me to come up with a program. I mean,
right.
But
collectively, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say that Johanny probably knows, you wouldn't know, that Public Works has a communications person and the sustainability officer are working on a whole set of accessible information blogs and things to do, posters and tables like at the in environmental events or at Earth Day events and things like that. So they're preparing some graphics and things meant to be accessible to people in high school or even below. And I'm sure, I think we could take those things and, if you found some teachers that were willing, start with something like that, where we provide some of that information, look to see if it's age appropriate, but, use some of what's being done already and just tweak it and make it available to that audience. And I think that's very doable. And especially as the city starts to put out its official draft, then you can say the students will actually be learning about and giving input to a real policy development in the city.
Right.
Very cool.
That's actually how we got the Clean Indoor Air Act passed in Pennsylvania, was the youth being advocates for it.
Yep.
And interestingly enough, we have a clean outdoor air policy that's not enforced at this point in all our playgrounds. You're not supposed to smoke. That's another whole issue. So, Stephen, do you have any questions for us at all?
No, when do I get started?
Okay, so next Monday, we vote on appointments, and then Shelley will contact you. You'll come in and take your little oath of office, and you'll get started at the next meeting.
All right, it's great. By the way, I apologize for missing. I forgot to say this immediately, but I sincerely apologize for missing the last appointment. I know that's not something I typically do. She was my professor for many years, so she knows I was never late for class. Okay.
Okay.
I was shocked when I heard you were no show, and I knew something must have happened because very dependable person.
That happens to a lot of us, so we're all human.
Well, I appreciate that, but
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. I mean, I think that you can make such an impact on the world right now, and this is such a hot button issue. I mean, just with the latest superstorm, with Ian coming through, and how those communities were not prepared for it, and they're still not. So I mean, look at Puerto Rico and what's happened to them. I mean, God bless Puerto Rico. I mean, those people have gone through so much. I mean, we need to help them out as well. So anyway, I appreciate your time and, listening to me and taking me into consideration.
Well, we appreciate both of you stepping forward. So, and I look forward to the next meeting.
Absolutely. And
Okay.
thank
you
you
very
so
much.
much, Stephen, for your energy and your excitement and enthusiasm as well. Appreciate it. So next Monday, right? Next Monday,
Yeah.
Stay tuned to our city council meeting. That's where.
It looks like you could be in my living room, by the way, with the background with the staircase, Stephen.
Well, all these city houses were all built in the same era at the same time. So.
Oh, well, take care.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
It's a classic staircase to the second floor.
Yep.
So I think this is one of
yeah.
the best groups I've worked with, really, the EAC. And that's why when I saw the path, and I'm glad that Dr. Morrison or Reverend Morrison went to them.
Okay, yeah, me too.
And there's some unspoken things that went on. There's actually areas down near the river that were affected by that area that have been secured so that development can't occur on it. And I spoke with former Mayor McMahon. He explained to me what happened when they were going to be building, what's the name of the produce? Sunfred.
Sunrich.
It wasn't that, it was when they were developing that acreage down there. So he knows exactly where.
I don't remember. It's
And
one
it's
of
Sun
the
Fish Farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I think is important is that we just have clear documentation about what's happened with that area and what works and what doesn't. Okay,
And
so
that things are in the works, so that people are.
yeah, that won't come up when I heard all those facts I shouldn't say facts, all the testimony that was given, I thought it scared the public more than giving them the complete picture of what happened. And that concerned me. And I think
I
that,
was scared myself, yeah.
well, you would have been, because they were giving a lot of misinformation that I couldn't contradict it because I knew what it was, but to be respectful, we were there to hear the information. Okay, so any kind of time you have a presentation like that, everything that's said isn't fact. Even though that person tries to make sure that everyone believes she's the expert of everything.
Right.
Right.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have some things that are clogged up in the pipeline from what Shelley said to me.
We do, yes, we have not gotten any new recommendations from the mayor, which means that there will be no planning commission members to interview, so council will have to discuss what to do. For their
So are
quorum.
there applicants? Are they sitting on his desk or?
Felix may be able to answer where they're sitting, but they are still in. I've not gotten the recommendations yet, so I can't move forward with them.
Yeah, so we need to know exactly where they're standing and what time they're gonna be put back to us, because this isn't fair for things as important as the planning commission that can't function. If we have people that we can interview and it's not happening. So Felix, can you help us out with that at all? Yeah. He's still on.
Dolores, Felix?
Dolores? You're either Dolores or Felix on the call.
Can't respond.
Can we chop something in the chat room and see whether?
They're talking to one another. I'm hoping they're looking for the paperwork.
Yeah, that would be. Moving the right
So then
direction.
so then we're here, right? Here. And then are we sure, everything that's on here is what we're waiting for.
Yeah, right.
Did we interview Tanya already? I thought we did.
I thought we did a long
I
time
think we
ago.
did.
We did, and then she was put on hold.
He's the only one who's applied.
Hello, can
Although
you
a
hear me?
lot of people say
Yeah.
they
Hi, okay, I was muted and for whatever reason it was not letting me unmute, but I finally was able to unmute. So what I said is I will discuss tomorrow with the mayor where he is with the status of those planning commission applications.
Do you understand that if when we don't have people appointed to this, that we have a commission that has a major responsibility for moving development on, that they won't have a quorum to be able to do their work? So it's not a matter of just saying, yeah, I just get concerned that some of these things fall through the cracks and they keep staying in the cracks. And I know I'm gonna seem a little bit agitated here, but I am. Because we do our best we can to interview, but we need to have the same cooperation from the other end.
I know I'm 100% aware, and I know he has them, and I know he has them on his desk.
Okay,
So I'm going to be speaking with him within the hour. So
okay,
I can definitely find out where what the status is and get back tomorrow morning. with
okay,
it.
great. Yeah,
Thank you,
that helps. And there are other ones too. Do you have a copy of the list that's on the agenda?
I do, yes.
Okay,
Yep,
good.
I
So,
do know, and I do know of the other ones because I know we've I personally have had this conversation a couple of times with him. So
okay, gotcha.
yeah, so it's not a new to any of us. So
Yeah,
but
and I think
I will just speak with him.
yeah, there is definitely the planning commission takes the priority because of the level of work they have to do for the city. Not that all of them aren't important, so.
Right. But I know
Question.
we do have the others outstanding as well. So definitely I will speak with him.
which one is that?
And I'm just looking at this. Like where we're at with everything. That's all. I mean, I saw these here.
Oh, yeah.
Keep
No,
looking
you
at
don't-
like,
Anybody who's in process is on this.
okay, this is something we can have done like this year.
I update that every time a new
Right.
application comes in, so
Right,
anytime you
So
see
wait,
that.
wasn't he already reappointed? When you-
No. Nope, so what,
Did we interview him? I thought we interviewed him.
No, he came to council and made the presentation for the annual
Okay.
report for the planning
Gotcha.
commission.
And then, so she's another one that's still pending?
Yep.
These two are pending?
Yep.
Okay. Right, because we have to fill in, because we have three vacancies, don't we?
Right.
And then the other two are ineligible
right,
because of residency.
right.
Right.
And were they informed of that? Did that happen?
The letters did go out.
Oh, good,
Okay,
okay,
but
yeah. that was
we should thank Austin for his years of service.
Yeah, I think we ought to do something,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. He might be able to play another role besides being an actual commission
Right.
member. Because he was talking about wanting to help at the meetings and
Right.
stuff.
Even if there's such a thing like as a subcommittee where they don't vote,
Right,
right? Because there
right.
should be such a thing where people can partake, but they don't have
Yeah,
voting
the
powers.
EAC does that. when there are people who are interested, who aren't residents or who have specific abilities,
Mhm.
they have subcommittees that they'll
Right.
pull those extra
So
community
who
members
makes that
into.
decision?
The chair,
The chair. Who's the chair of the planning commission?
Wayne,
Okay. And he's still sitting, waiting. So
He's
he's just
waiting.
there waiting to be
He's
reappointed.
waiting.
Yeah, and so they don't leave their position until they get interviewed for reappointment. So a lot of times you have people that have gone beyond their terms that are staying there for long periods of time because they just haven't gotten reappointed. Which isn't the way we wanted to run. When the
Right.
terms go out, we want to get them reacted the right way.
All right, so if we look at environmental advisory, we did 2 today, right? So
Yep.
we have 2 pending that we have to interview.
Right.
Okay. Then the conversion therapy. Even I feel like that board is just.
Well, that's because a lot hasn't happened to make them have to have a test.
The meeting hasn't happened in years. I would assume.
Yeah,
I'm not
only,
sure they have ever had a
They haven't.
meeting
They haven't.
because there's been no conversion therapy. Actually, Linda and I just had a conversation about that with the managing director last week about that specific board. So,
Should it? I just wonder if it should change to something that's more fruitful.
yeah,
That's kind of what we talked about, and
Proactive.
it makes it almost sound like the city is supporting conversion therapy, the way it's titled.
yes.
So we had a little conversation about that as well, you know,
Yes.
about kind of re-looking at that whole
Mhm.
board.
the other thing that concerns me is even the title of it. It almost appears as if there's a mental health issue with someone that might be asked to participate in conversion therapy. And it's not their mental health issue, so it's almost like not stigmatizing in the way it's worded, you know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
And the whole
No,
thing.
no,
Should be
let me look at
substituted,
the
yeah.
ordinance and
Yes.
get some, yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, if you don't mind sharing it,
yeah.
No,
like
not
the
at all.
description, the ordinance, what's intended uses for, even though you've explained it, but it doesn't seem like it's relevant,
Yeah, and I'll in
relative
the
anymore,
email,
right? It might
I'll
have been at some point.
give a little history of.
Well, I think it was when that was happening, that there was more of an active way of trying to convert.
And not relevant, the word I was looking for was relevant, I'm sorry,
Yeah, it's okay, I understand you.
relevant. So we're waiting for Thomas Ryan, electrical examining board. Now, when we were talking about residency, we have made exceptions on certain boards because of certification
Correct,
Right.
requirements.
Yeah. and that's one of them.
Mhm. So those are all that we're just pending, waiting for them to be moved over to us.
Right, because there's only one opening and there's 3 applicants.
Okay.
I just wonder sometimes so when I think of like local plumbers, local plumbing companies, and if
Mhm.
they have a business in
I
the
see what you're
city and if they
saying.
live here, are they certified? Would they, like, how aggressive really are we? And
In recruiting,
yeah, we're not, right?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I can't answer that really.
Yeah. And those folks are so not organized, you know what I mean?
Right, right,
Is
right.
that they do their own homework but they're not associated, because there isn't, except, is Essex still in the city anymore?
I'm not sure since they're not up on Fairview
Fairview,
Street
yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, I wonder, like, if we had a database in the city that identifies all the businesses, types of business, especially in these areas, electricians, plumbers,
Yeah,
HVAC,
I can check on the trades.
yeah, I doubt it. I mean, that's something we should probably have, like a database of who.
The office that does the business licenses might be able to give me something like that.
Let me know what you find.
Okay.
And Steve, you're now waiting for the mayor.
What do you guys see apply for? One,
He,
but he's the same gentleman.
yeah, he
Mhm.
applied for
Okay.
District 1 council seat. He's since applied to the charter board, and I thought the redevelopment authority, but he only can be on one.
Right, he can only be on one, and
Yeah,
don't recall if you interviewed him for redevelopment authority.
no,
but
we
you-
didn't, we
you
didn't
obviously
interview.
didn't.
him. And then the Pagoda Foundation, according to the agreement, council has 2 appointments. I'm interested in getting to know this John Jordan. Is he a city resident?
He's not, but I can email you his, he
Yeah,
sent a nice email explaining that he's not a resident, but why he's interested in the pagoda.
and we need to expand the board, so that's good.
And then what is the restriction on is there a restriction on Pagoda Foundation?
I don't believe so. It would depend on what the,
Yeah, the majority of the
The
people that
MOU
are on the foundation, the MOU doesn't specify, are not city residents.
So should we have,
We should,
I think, we should have some type of balance.
yeah, we definitely should, and we need to be able to look at the city residents to get more people recruited that are city residents and would like to be on the foundation. But I'd like to read, John's, because we do have 13 members and we only have 7 slots filled at this point.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Yeah,
So it's 6 vacancies?
yeah.
It says 2 council appointments. What does that mean? They were only allowed to appoint 2?
yeah, the mayor gets to appoint 2, I believe, and then council appoints 2 independently of the mayor, so that there are,
Now, let me ask you this, Donna and I were both on, are we council appointments or?
I can't answer that question because council has never made appointments to,
So that's an
that.
interesting question because we really,
I mean, is that what that means? 2 council members?
let me.
Or that we
Yeah.
appoint 2 people?
yeah.
let me
Because-
find that
Yeah,
MOU,
because
I'll send that to you.
yeah, and we're in the process working with the managing director to update the MOU, not that that would change anything with this, but because Donna and I were appointed, so we might have the 2 council. That doesn't mean I'm still not interested on behalf of the foundation and getting to
Right.
know who this John Jordan is and what
Okay,
his interest is.
Okay.
But we have Danny Laws, who's from the city, that's on the foundation.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Do we conduct those interviews? Yeah, we do conduct, if I'm here, so we can conduct those interviews. I just don't
Only for
remember.
the, only,
If it's a council appointment, that's not, if we decide to go a different direction. Hey, Patrick, how are you?
Okay, how are you?
Good, thank you.
now I think that the council can help to identify people, but I know there must be people, like for instance, Jerry Miranda.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so he's on the foundation.
Right,
He doesn't live in the city, but he
Right.
certainly brings a lot. He's
Yeah,
vice president, okay?
yeah.
Suzanne Cody lives in the city and brings a lot of expertise, works for Muhlenberg Green, so we have some really good dynamic people.
Good.
Okay.
And then I have just a correction on that list of non-residents that I give you every month.
Mhm.
Sandy Grayfius is listed on there and she is a city resident. She
is.
Yes,
in
he
the
does,
Legacy
yeah,
Park.
yeah.
I think that-
Right. That was the only one that we,
The city.
think about it, and I think she is, so I did double check that.
Yeah, she
So
lives in-
she's gonna come off that list. She
Mm-hmm.
is a city resident.
The Equal Business Opportunity Advisory Board, that replaced Minority Business Procurement.
So we really need to get that one.
We have, yeah, there's only 1 person on the board, right?
There's 2 now, but those are,
Well,
they're
the
very specific qualifications for that one
Okay.
as well. Let me just see if I can find their listing really quick.
So you made it, Chris.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
do like big today.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Wednesday's gonna be tricky. I don't know if I'm gonna do. I've got. We.
Oh, we're still in the meeting. Oh,
Yep.
my bad. Whoops. Got distracted.
So we have
I'm glad you're here.
William Dorward,
Okay,
who was appointed, and Josephine Torres Boykin.
okay.
who was
I thought we
appointed.
did interview.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So we have 2, and it's like, the listing is, it's very specific where those candidates need to come from.
Okay. So that we can, yeah, because it's a 5 board member, right? 5?
It's a 5. Yes, it's 5
member
members.
member
So they need
board,
at least 1 more before they can start meeting.
yeah. Okay. So you can refresh me on qualifications so that maybe we can.
So 1 needs to be a minority business owner.
Okay,
One needs to be a purchasing or procurement professional. And then one is a general resident.
Can I ask you a question? Because I think this, I don't like using the word minority and I refuse to use that anymore because it doesn't really speak to the population.
Yeah,
And I wish we could in some way embrace that, in that it doesn't matter less in numbers, more in numbers. Why is that so important to continue to use that word?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Because
kind of,
we're-
I don't, I think this
Yeah.
just came right out of the
Yeah.
regs, like I don't.
yeah.
And if you use that word, then it shouldn't be someone Latino, because Latinos are no longer minorities, you know what I mean?
Right, right.
So I want to be able to,
Yeah,
maybe they're, I have no,
I have no input in that.
so it comes from a state law then.
No, I believe this is a city ordinance.
Okay,
So
so
let
that
me,
That city ordinance came from some years ago.
It was back when I first got on council.
that was the Minority Business Procurement Board,
Right.
and then we renamed it the Equal Business Opportunity Board, but I think the word minority stayed in there in some capacity when it was redone. So let me look at that one
See
as
whether
well.
there's a word, we can wordsmith that to be able to, because it might be disparate populations or people that aren't represented.
Underrepresented?
Yeah.
You want to
underrepresented. If you want people that are underrepresented in decision
General,
making,
yeah,
that's what. So that doesn't get top heavy with the same old people, but people that have not had a voice in speaking to the needs of businesses in the city.
I hear you.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking what would be that word
yeah, I know.
so that it's understood. Because we know that minority has always been equivalent to like multicultural, right? To
Right.
some degree,
yes,
but it wouldn't be appropriate though. I don't think it would fit multicultural business, like it,
Yeah,
because it's really about the underrepresented.
there are probably new terminologies.
There has to be.
Yeah, that's our,
the other thing quickly, did either one of you look at the training video?
mhm.
Do you have any
I
comment?
didn't watch it yet. I saw
Okay.
it come in today.
Because Ken.
Need to make time to watch it. Yeah, let me watch it.
Feedback. so
I'll watch
we
it
can-
after meetings. I'll watch it tonight.
Yeah, I can watch it.
Very good.
Okay, we done that?
That's all I have.
Okay, right, motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay,
I second that.
all righty, we're.
Bye, everyone. We'll see you in a little bit at Committee of the Whole.